It's Phil here at Digital DJ Tips with another live lesson. It's an absolutely fantastic show we have for you today because, as we've done a couple of times recently, we're actually throwing this one over to you. We asked, what style of DJing is harder than people think, to our community, and over 1,000 DJs responded, and I have collated some of the very best of what people had to say to share with you today. If you're someone who thinks all DJs just push buttons, or you're a DJ who is struggling with the style of music you want to play and you wonder if you're alone, or you're just contemplating trying a different style, or you're just curious, I'm sure you're going to find something here today that's going to help you. It's been a fun one to do, put it this way, because it's got to have me smiling all the way through at some of the comments people have said. We've got them all here. So what we're going to do for the next few minutes is go through, I've probably got, I don't know, 7 or 8 styles of music here, which are based on the things that came up over and over again in the Facebook post that we got this from our community. So it's been really fun. As you can see, 1.1k comments there on this. It really was a busy post and it's taken us a long time to read through them. Not that that wasn't a fun thing to do, of course. We do enjoy chatting to you guys and girls. Of course, we're a DJ school, so we teach all this stuff. So it's also important to us to know for that reason as well. Right, let's get stuck straight in. Oh, I've got some big news for you at the end as well. But you're going to have to hang around to hear that. Hey, that's the way it goes here. Right, okay, styles of DJing that are harder than people think. By the way, the comments are open, so if you're watching live on Facebook, YouTube, then please do tap in. I've got all your comments coming in live here in the on the chat computer, which means that I'm able to grab them and say hello live to you throughout this whole show. So don't be scared. Tell me what you think. Tell me what your views are on this. And like I say, they're all coming in here, so I get a chance to chat to you about it. It's all part of the fun. Right, okay. Before we go any further then, let's jump into number 1. This was the biggest one. This was the one that more people said. Can you guess what the biggest style of DJing that's harder than people think would be? Well, I'll tell you, and it might surprise you. It doesn't surprise me. It's open format stroke wedding stroke mobile DJing. This came up more than anything else. The challenge isn't just the mixing, it's managing completely different genres and BPMs, and also dealing with like impossible requests while keeping the crowd happy. You see it, right? You know exactly what we're talking about here. It's like, I've got some quotes. This is going to be better than I could ever put it. So Noof says, you have to know virtually every single piece of music in existence. People will assume that you do. They will also assume that you know the song they're thinking of. Oh, you know the one, of course you do. You have to translate some random yelling apple bottom jeans into Low by Flo Rida. I love it. Stan says, I have more music than I can listen to. I've got way more music than I can prep with markers, verifying the grids, setting cue points and so on. My mixing and song selection skills need to acknowledge those basic facts. In open format mixing, I'm mixing songs that I've not prepped or studied in detail that may have BPM drift. Keep in mind that in the middle of mixing a set, I have people coming up to make requests to talk about the schedule and what is happening next, just to pass the time. Yes, you are being people's friend at the same time. I totally get that one. Yeah, so it's cool. So thank you for sharing that. And it's all exactly as you put it. It's a very hard job being a wedding DJ and a mobile DJ and playing open format, especially nowadays when people are expecting those Instagrammable moments, those transitions that gets the whole dance floor going mad. And so Phil says, some of the most badass DJs I witnessed were open format DJs, far and away more difficult than say house or drum and bass. Also the intensity and frequency of requests for open format DJs is brutal. Requests comes up again and again. So this is great. So there's our number 1, or rather the first one in our list. There's some great ones coming up. We're talking about the styles of DJing that real DJs say are harder than people think today. And we've covered open format, which was our number 1. The next one, can you guess what it might be? It's disco, funk and soul. In other words, pre-1980s music. And the key thing is it was played with live drummers, not with drum machines, like all music is nowadays, most music. Anything with real drummers means, yep, tempo drift. It means that you can't trust the beat grid. You can't trust pressing that sync button unless you've done an awful lot of work beforehand. You can't, in other words, just set it and forget it. You're riding the pitch constantly. By riding the pitch, by the way, it's talking about moving the pitch controls as you're playing a song to keep it in time with the other one, or nudging it slightly like this to keep it in time with the other song. These are all the things that if you're not careful and you're not skilled, people will hear you and know that you're doing them. And it's very, very hard with this style of music. It's hard enough when you've got one song loaded that is disco, funk, soul, pre-1980s. When you've got two, it can be very, very difficult. Jazzy Jeff can do it, one of our tutors. Jazzy Jeff is not normal. Right, okay, so what are people saying about this? Luke says, basically, this is called non-quantized music. It is indeed. Anything that hasn't been mapped in whatever software you're using. Try mixing any violin before 1980. You need an ear and a steady hand on the pitch, and you need to be able to mix 8 bars minimum. And Tom also agrees, soul, funk, disco, even rock on vinyl. You've got to ride the pitch like a trombone. I love that. I might nick that. Adrian says mixing dance and disco from the 80s and before is harder than people think. Without digital technology, it is something that takes a lot of practice. And tracks did not always have consistent phrases. That's true. They weren't quite as regimented back then as they can be now. And so you've given some great examples here. And third, breaks were short or even non-existent. Yeah, so the tracks weren't made in the first place to make it easier to DJ with. Great points. Disco, funk and soul. Luis Damien says any old school music with a live drummer. Like funk, soul, and Lewis includes reggae and disco, etc. Disco is actually the least hard, says Lewis, because out of all the music with live drummers, at least it's a steady 4-beat. But it's still harder than modern music because the beats drift. Indeed they do. So in our mixing for mobile and wedding DJs course, and in some of our other mixing courses, this is some of the stuff we deal with, like showing you ways of doing that. There are ways to kind of make this easier, but it's hard, and you guys are completely correct there. Loads of chat coming in about all this. Open format, you're all agreeing. VDJ Mikey over on YouTube says open format for sure. So what else are we saying in the live comments? Yep, open format, including Latin. Good point there. Maybe have some Latin coming up. In here. I don't know. I haven't actually had a chance to see what the team chose here. I know the main ones, but I haven't seen some of the ones lower down in the list. So true, says Peteri. Disco. Just loop it manually. Yes, so a great way of doing disco is you're counting along, you're counting along, you're saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Loop in on the one, loop out on the next one, and it will loop. And at least that loop will then be steady, right? That loop, the BPM will not change. At least it gives you something to mix over the top of. It's a good point. Thank you for that. Right then, styles of DJing that are harder than people think. We've done disco, funk and soul, and we've done open format. Number 3 in your list, this is 1,100 DJs responded to our question, what is harder than people think? So this is what you chose. Hip hop, especially with scratching and beat juggling. So Just Amber Tyson says, there's lots of lyrics, there's very quick changes, it's easy to miss if you're vibing. Always by ear, the phrases don't quite line up the same. I love it, but it's not come to me as naturally as house and bass music. Hip hop into house is easy, hip hop into hip hop, I'm still figuring that out, so thank you for that, Just Amber Tyson. Terry says hip-hop, especially on vinyl. Records are all pressed different volumes, so that is another thing you need to deal with. Plus, it's not normally made for extended mixing, so if you're off, you don't get an extra chance. Your window for in and out is very small. And George, this is an interesting thing from George, says hip-hop, I think is easiest on a basic level, but probably the hardest to master. So that's cool. There's a lot of lyrics in hip hop, right? So there's the chances of finding instrumental places that you can mix into other songs is more limited. And as a lot of you have said, if you're doing it properly with turntablism techniques, it is a whole different level. Of course, DJ Jazzy Jeff is the world master at that. And in DJ Jazzy Jeff's How to DJ course, Digital DJ Tips, he goes into exactly how you can do this. But it is true with scratching and beat juggling, hip-hop is not an easy genre to mix. Thank you very much for that. What we're saying on the live chat about this. Multi-genre open format is coming up again and again. Rockness says, it's most difficult because of all the tempo changes and pre-80s is also difficult. So you're agreeing with 2 of the 3 we've had so far. DJ Andre says, try DJing with ADHD. Your mind is at 10 places at the same time. Maybe quick mixing is right for you. I'm not trying to be flippant here, but thank you very much for that. And lots of you saying open format is difficult. Wow, DJ Belter, I can guarantee you this isn't on the list. Country is tricky. Tracks are short. There's no intros. There's vocals throughout, even the remixes. Awesome. And Dazza Direct says Gabba at 180 plus BPM. But Rockness makes a good point, who says hip hop is at least the most forgiving when it comes to musical key. And that's a good point. So well made there. Yeah, you know, so pluses and minuses. Right, so number 4 is actually kind of leads in from number 3. A lot of you have said this. Turntablism, scratching, right? Everyone thinks they can scratch until they try. Ain't that true? Years of practice required. Thomas says turntablism, hands down, was the hardest thing I ever learned. Beat juggling, flares, crabs, cutting, etc. Turntablism, again, no doubt, says RL Kaya Bayab, who says beat juggling and trick mixing especially, though that is my favourite area of DJing. And Chris says scratching, and then Chris makes the point of saying scratching well. Been 30 years for me, says Chris, and I always feel there's a ton to learn. Again, our DJ Jazzy Jeff course this time, his scratching course is the one for this. And also scratching for controller DJs. If you just want to learn to scratch on a DJ controller, no motorized platters, much smaller than this, you know, you could learn to scratch on any DJ controller. It doesn't have to be a big one like this. Then take a look at our scratching for controller DJs course. Right, so, okay, so number 5 in your list of DJ genres, DJ styles that are hard to mix and that some people don't realize are hard to mix. And this is actually alongside Gabba 180 plus BPM going on in the comments there. Drum and bass and jungle. So the speed alone is what lots of you have said. Literally the speed is what's unforgiving. One tiny mistake and everyone hears it. Ashley says, old school jungle, there's so many different breaks and offbeats. It can sound messy as hell if you don't get it right. Benoit says drum and bass, a millisecond drifted and you are a complete trashy mess for eardrums. And Steve says, I'm finding drum and bass a bit challenging. The thing with drum and bass that I've always found useful is if you can, you know when you analyze drum and bass, right? So you're analyzing in your software, you've got your music library, you're going through and you're looking at the BPMs in your music library. My music library is not showing BPMs here because I'm actually in Apple Music, but if I go to my local library, then your BPMs are going to show here, right? So you've got your BPM, in case it's a 130 track. If you look through your whole library of BPMs, you will find that there are tracks which have probably got a low BPM. So let's sort by BPM here. Let's just do this live and go all the way to the bottom here. There's tracks here which have probably got a low BPM, right? 85, 86. So let's just put in the, I can't put in the genre column at this point, but I know that some of these, Pressure for instance, I know this is almost certainly a drum and bass track. So that one there, for instance, 87, this is Liquid. Now I know this is a drum and bass track, right? If I play this track now to you, it's going to be a drum and bass track. So we'll listen. Well, I say that, but it's not coming through. Ha! It's always the way when you're live. Anyway, trust me, it's drum and bass. The point I'm making is, though, if you look at the source, if you look at this track's BPM, it's 86.7. This track is not a fast BPM, even though it's drum and bass. Why? Because this is often wrong. Often your DJ software will guess the drum and bass track at half the BPM. Why does it do that? Because in a way it is half the BPM. If you try and dance to drum and bass at the speed it's made at, you're going to be like, you're on speed, right? You're going to be like, ugh. So people tend to skank around to drum and bass at half the BPM it was made at. If you can get your head into that, if you can get your head into, this isn't fast, this is actually really slow, this is 86 BPM, and tune into every other beat in your head, it can make it a lot easier. I'm not saying it makes it easy, but it can make it a lot easier. So if you treat drum and bass just like your erroneous beat gridding software, your erroneous analysis treats it, where drum and bass tracks sometimes come in at half the BPM, you might just find it easier that way. So just a little tip there for DJing drum and bass. But thank you, drum and bass and jungle. Lots of you said that. So another style of breakbeat. So drum and bass, one of the things that's interesting about drum and bass is that it's not a 4/4 beat, right? It's not this. It's a breakbeat. It's just a sped up breakbeat. And so that's one of the things that makes the next genre challenging, which is breakbeat, breaks or broken beats, right? All those kind of styles. So lots of you saying all those syncopated rhythms and all those offbeat patterns, you can't just rely on the grid. You kind of can, but you're right, it sounds messy. And that makes it more challenging to mix. Ashley says there's quite a range of BPMs as well within this genre, like from 115 to 140. That's a really good point. So now you're dealing with big BPM changes as well. And Nick says two-step garage, which is very close to breaks and I would lump it in, as you do, Nick, with the same here. Even a perfectly beat match transition between two tracks can clatter badly if the syncopation and swing on the beat is incompatible. Your EQ is your friend here, or if you're into stems mixing, then stems can be really useful for this kind of thing, because you could obviously mix the whole of one track minus its beat, and on the other track have just the beat playing, and then when you're ready, switch everything else over. And so this is a real change here in DJing in recent years, that stems allows you to do that when you have two tracks that otherwise work well together, similar energy level, similar key maybe, certainly similar vibe and feel and genre. It's just that the beats are slightly off even though they're lined up. Then you can choose which one to have in a way you couldn't do before, or at least you couldn't do fully before, because EQ will only get you so far. We're talking about styles of music that you can mix that are actually harder than people think. And this is not just me, this is literally DJs by the thousand have given us their views on this, and I've had them collated here, and this is what we're going through today. It's really lovely to hear this. There's a couple of genres coming up, a couple of use cases of music, if you like, coming up, which I hadn't thought of. So firstly, though, I'm going to go for this one, DJing for break dancers. So this is literally DJing for people who are there for a reason that isn't just your normal dance floor. You need to know exactly where every breakdown is and juggle beats perfectly on demand. And Carl says, you need to know the tracks back to front, because again, if you don't know where the breakdown is and you don't know how to beat juggle on time and on point, you are going to come unstuck. I love it. So thank you, DJing for breakdancers. Another one then, this one was interesting to me because it's something I have no experience of. This is ecstatic dance. So this is, according to you guys, multi-genre, multi-tempo, creating an emotional journey for sober dancers who are paying close attention to every choice you make. That's the key phrase here. Now, if people are sober and paying close attention to everything you do, and yet they've come for the music, that's pressure. One of the things we teach new DJs and DJs playing out for the first time here at the school in our complete DJ course and also in our book, we teach them something which is generally true. People aren't really listening as much as you think. They're there to have a good time, they're there to have a drink, they're there to let their hair down, they're there to meet their friends. They probably don't even know there's a DJ on. If they do, they're probably not into the music you're playing anyway, but they're there nonetheless. If you win them over, they might have a better night than they thought, but ultimately they're not listening to everything you do. Sounds like they are with ecstatic dance. And Pete says, I've been a DJ for 30 plus years, and I've realized that ecstatic dance is by far the hardest. You've got all those genres, speeds and dynamics, and it has to all make sense for the therapeutic and cathartic experience as well. And Sandesh says, again, by far, ecstatic dance. Not only do you need an extensive music culture, 360 degrees, but you have to be able to mix so many styles, genres, beats and tempos, blending them together perfectly in a set full of waves, from soft ambient to crazy drum and bass, or dubstep peaks and everything in between. You're playing music for sober and committed dancers that come for the music and the vibe it creates. Hence, they're very attentive to it. It seems to have elements of open format and mobile DJing, but that passion and that knowledge and that single-minded I'm here to dance of the best club crowds, right? Both of those things together. I love it. Thanks for educating me, people. And the final genres, I'm going to combine these two, dancehall, Caribbean and reggae. Fritz says, honestly, it's the hardest. You have to mix songs literally every 20 seconds for the whole night, as well as trigger non-stop effects and actively work the mic. It's the same intensity as a James Hype show, but for 5 hours. The amount of work makes it easily one of the most skilled DJ genres around. And when it comes to reggae and Jamaican music, says Lienge, you've got to play stuff from the 60s, covering everything up until now. And that means 59 to 130 BPMs, real drummers, etc., etc., which of course is never going to be easy. That's absolutely amazing, people. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And thank you if you're one of the 1,100 people in the comments there who helped us in this Facebook post to make it such a busy one. We really enjoyed reading all your comments on it. If you didn't get your comment read out, just trust me, we did read it. It was wonderful. It was really, really good. Massive response to this one. And again, if you're one of those people that thinks DJs just press buttons, well, hopefully you're realizing it isn't the case. It really isn't. DJs try very hard, at least the best DJs do, to give you a better time than those who are literally just pressing buttons. I've got something big to share with you. I'm going to do that right now, and then we'll spend the last 10 minutes chatting in the comments. So you know the time of year, you know where we're at. It's Black Friday, and that means our Black Friday sale is now on. If you want to become good at DJing these kinds of genres, if you want to improve your DJ skills, your mixing, and everything else that goes into playing a great DJ set, head over to digitaldjtips.com, go to the homepage, and you'll see this banner. It tells you to scroll down, so you do that. Scroll down and you will see the offers. They're all marked on the courses here. You can drill in and you can see the saving you're going to make on all our courses, up to 45% off everything. For instance, here's the Jazzy Jeff course, currently $100 saving on that. These really are our best savings of the year. So have a browse around. They're not going to close today, so you don't have to buy today, but do remember they won't stay around forever. Have a look around. We are the best courses with the best students and the best tutors. You know that already. Go take a look at our Black Friday sale. It's literally just gone live. Literally, they were telling me just before I went live today that they pushed all the buttons. And as I just spotted for myself, the banners are up. It's live. Okay, folks, let's spend the next few minutes just chatting to you about the DJ genres that you find hard. And what's your thoughts? Did the 1,100 people who commented here get it right? Or is there stuff that they've missed? As a b-boy myself, I find my body is locked into the groove and timing of the music, even when I DJ. And that's come from many years of dancing. So actually it's helping you. I love that. The dancing is helping you. I know another b-boy called Benji, but he's from France, says this one. So it wasn't the one I just read out. So thank you for that. The Jazzy Jeff and DJ Angelo courses are amazing. I learned a lot from both, says Chris Hinaka. So thank you very much for the Chris, aka DJ Ridiculous. I love your name, DJ Ridiculous. The Digital DJ Tips has a new video on the best value new standalone DJ gear. Oh, well, enjoy it. We have indeed, but then I would know that because I made that video. You know, funnily enough, I was chatting to my team today. We do so much here that I've literally got to the point. DJ Jazzy Jeff made me smile. He said, my head is like a hard drive and it's full. So if something goes in, something else has to come out. That's just where I'm at in life. And I loved that when we were filming with him last year. And that's how I feel. Honestly, people say, well, you made a video about that. And I'm like, thanks for reminding me. I literally sometimes go on to YouTube or go on to Google and I search something that I don't know. And I find myself explaining it to me. I mean, that's where we've reached. But we do make a lot of content and we have been doing it for 15 years. So I guess I can be forgiven slightly for that. What else are you saying then? Lots and lots of people chatting about general DJ stuff. Come back for one of our general shows and I'll help to answer those questions for you. Of course, if you buy one of our courses in the Black Friday sale, you can come and ask these questions on our regular lives with just students and me when we answer all this stuff. But if you've asked something that's not related to our topic today, I won't be answering it on this show. I want to keep it on point. Okay, so this one, I kind of view the DJ, says I Am Preacher Man, as the conductor of the party, not the partier. I don't understand partying and DJing together. Sobriety is underrated. You know, a really good DJ friend of mine said to me once, early on in your DJ life, you need to decide which route you're going to take, the party life or the DJ life. You can't really have both. And he said, you know, he's now in his 50s. He said, I do like to have a bottle of beer before I start, just to help me forget that everyone on the dance floor could be my kids. But after that, I stop. And I totally know where he's coming from there. You're not going to have a long career in DJing if you can't separate the partying from the DJing. That is very true. So open format and turntablist DJing is definitely the hardest. I learn something new every time. I try to nail it every time, but there's always something new to practice. Mixing any genre that's not 4/4. In other words, any genre that's not got that techno house. But it was actually quite noticeable how no one said house music, wasn't it? Any genre that's not 4/4, which means, you mean literally not the 4/4 beat, not this, but literally that's got a different time signature. Yes, any different time signatures. Hey Ya by Outkast. You ever listen to that? And you try mixing that with pretty much any other track, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. I love it. Thank you. So, I mean, lots of you sharing tips here as well. Lots of chat going on about drum and bass. That's great. Using the gain controls when you're playing older music. Yes, so when you're playing older music, a lot of people say, what are these controls for? I just leave mine set at 11. Well, yeah, that's fine if you're mixing modern music that's been mastered properly. But as soon as you mix in some tracks from the past, You're probably going to end up with your gain up here. You're probably going to end up boosting the mids to stop it sounding dull, maybe having to roll the bass up a bit and take a bit of the highs off. And even then, you're going to be struggling because older music just sounds different to music that is mastered today. And so it's a case of fooling most of the people most of the time when you're mixing music across the genres, getting it all right. And that's what those controls are for. They're creative controls. You know, on professional gear, and in professional venues. So let's say you go and DJ in a big nightclub. There'll be a sound engineer next to you. The sound engineer's job is to make sure that the sound out there is good. There's enough bass, enough mid, enough treble, and it's the right volume. Your job is to be creative. These controls here are for you to be creative with. Now, some DJ gear, this is unusual. This is the XDJ AZ that I was making a video about earlier. Some DJ gear has got this section. Now, this is a low, mid, and high, but it's over the whole output. So everything you do here goes through here. So if you're playing on a system where it's just not bassy enough, full stop, you can boost the bass a little bit here. Or it sounds a bit muddy, or it's a bit too trebly. Take a bit of the treble off or whatever, add a bit of mid. This is an overall universal EQ control. These EQs are creative. And this is something that people don't sometimes realize. You know, if you find yourself DJing and every single track, literally all of your decks, your bass is up like this, it's probably because if only you could, you'd have your bass up here and then you can put it back to normal here. These controls are meant to be more or less pointing up. And then everything away from up is you doing something creative. An interesting point you make there. And it is harder, of course, when you're using music from all over the place, different genres, BPMs, different years, different mastering, because you'll be really working these controls a lot. It's a great comment. Thank you. I'm going to leave it there, folks. Thank you very, very much. It's been very busy in the comments. And of course, it's been busy with 1,100 of you on the chat on that Facebook post. Remember, our sale is on now for Black Friday. It is our biggest one of the year. So if you want to grab yourself a bargain, up to 45% off all our DJ courses, head over to digitaldjtips.com, scroll down on the homepage and you can choose from all of these courses here. As I say, up to 45% off all of them. Absolutely every single one, including our brand new courses from Jazzy Jeff, as mentioned, and Ferry Corsten's trance course. Some of those genres, you know, easy to DJ, hard to DJ well. I think that's why house didn't get in here. House is an easy genre to DJ, right? Your DJ software will get it right. You can hit sync and it's going to work. Same with trance, same with techno, same with tech house. But to do them really well, that's what takes the skill. That's what separates great DJs from okay DJs. And that's what DJ training is all about. So come and take a look. From me, Phil, in the studio then, get good, get out there, make the moments. And I will see you again next Tuesday for another Tuesday live lesson. Bye for now.